So low impact, full body toning, marching feet. I want you to feel like you're getting all of your gadgets ready to use, right? So I've got the ball out. I pulled the foam roller out. The foam roller is only a training tool for one of our movements. Actually, we're going to use it for two movements today. Going into back strengthening, we're not using it in the sense of foam rolling the fascia. I've got a little ball, my tennis ball, and I am going to remind myself to incorporate the hula hoop. But when we go into the hula hoop, I will do some very exaggerated things to, if you don't have a hula hoop, don't worry about it. You got your twisty boards, you've got your little slidey rags, you've got marching feet, you've got a number of things that you can do while we're in hula hoop mode. Start your rock step. But I do find it funny for myself, the skill beyond just getting the hula hoop to go around, the actual skill of then learning techniques to move the hula through space and kind of create a little routine with this accessory brings me to the point where marching feet, switch leg, rock step. Because I don't struggle with the basic hula hoop, my struggle is then using this hoop and like dancing with it, because that's foreign to me. So though I can excel at basic hula, I'm in the same category as somebody feeling very disconnected from an object, right? And so I know the frustration that comes with trying to do something and it just not being a flow enough that makes me have the incentive to do more of it. So marching feet, you're just going to alternate your forward step. March the feet 2, 3, and rock. March 2, 3, alternating foot, rock step. So we did this one last week where we didn't only just put the forward alternating pattern in, we did a reverse step too. And the funny thing is, in the reverse step, I felt like as we were doing one leg forward and then one leg back and then alternating pattern, I felt like I had screwed up the sequencing of it, which you may or may not have noticed. I don't know. But today I'm going to simplify it, because if I was struggling, then I think that you might not have known that I was doing the wrong thing, which means you were probably doing the wrong thing too. Compared to how my mind envisioned the movement going. Marching feet. You're going to do that same pattern, but in reverse. Reverse, march 2, 3, reverse, march 2, 3, reverse. So the reverse step should actually feel just a little bit more awkward, right? Not doable, just a little bit more thought goes into it. Right? So instead of alternating the leg, I want you to come back to march. We're going to take this leg and we're going to do forward, march 2, 3, and back on the same leg. Go with me. Forward, march 2, 3. That's why. Because it can't be done like that. It's a 2-step. It's a 2-count march in order to stay on the same foot. Now, right? Then you're like, well, why don't we just make it a basic rock step? There's something that happens when we put extra steps and or omit a step to make a transition faster, right? And I'm saying this because we're getting ready to do a rotation. March only, march only. Other leg, rock step, 2 marches back, 2 marches forward, 2 marches back. So I'm okay not always coming to the table here, having everything precisely worked out as far as pattern work because this is live and it is unscripted, right? And that's the beauty of us doing this together, right? Is that I'm not coming into it with the routine already nailed down, right? So now, when you come out of your forward position back to marching feet, this leg is going to step across, go now, cross, go the other way. This is nothing new. This bets you back into the 3-step in the middle because we're alternating legs. Can you, as you come back out of it, step together, step, rock. Come out of it, step together, step, rock. Step together, step, rock. So now, instead of you just having 3 marching feet, which essentially you still have, you're going, I need to step, right? It's like a step touch, but there's too much going on for me to call out step together, step, rock, right? Step out, right? Are you getting it? Step, close, step, rock. Step, close, step, rock. This is so much more specific than 3 marching feet. And it's the side step that allows you to travel into this nice big lateral movement. Now, the more uncomfortable you are with trying to mirror the feet, you might be working in a really small pattern doing the 3 marching feet with the rock step. I'm trying to teach you how to cover some space here if your room allows you to do that, right? So 2 more. Push. Again, it's nothing new. It's just a little finish on this side over here. It's just a little more information that maybe you might have naturally already been doing that, right? In times past. Now, the next move, tap out, tap. As you start, this is all part of our rhythmic limbering, okay? This is the rhythmic limbering and the low impact work are pretty much one and the same. This movement can be more expansive / explosive if you feel like your hips, knees, feet are like ready to roll, then you try to put a little more spring in the up in that middle, right? So let's scale down to its basic, gentle. This will be what you come back to as soon as you feel your heart rate get up just a little bit more. And as your body says, I can do it, then maybe you add a little rotation, which is hard, okay? It's hard because the stepping leg, like there's a little swivel action in the ball of the feet to allow you to actually get hips, shoulders, knees, feet doing a 180-degree rotation. So now that you know what's happening, you can stay basic or you can put a little bit more oomph into it. What if you're like, I don't want to do oomph in my legs, but I can do oomph in my arms? Push both arms, push. So now remember, we're trying to get our heart rate up a little bit, okay? So if you're here just doing tap outs and that is your maximum, stay there. If you can go a little bit more springy, I want you to feel like you're coming up and down, push, pull, push. Repeat, go to this leg and just stay in repeater. Whew. If you're facing forward, slightly angle your body this way. Okay? Now, the repeating position has you dominant on that front leg, right? And if the knee is crabby or the hip is crabby, then that front leg doesn't bend, right? But if everything feels fluid, push back. We're getting ready to transition to the other side, which for most, in my experience, most of the time that causes a slight breakdown in body command. How do we get from side one to side 2, all right? All right. So think about this was your basic movement. You go to this other side and stay pumping. And I'm going to show you the transition that we're getting into, right? Okay. So you're pumping along and I say switch. And it's going to be a 1 and a 2 and a pump 2. 1, 2, pump 2. Can you try pump twice, switch it out, 1, 2, pump 2. And if you're still here, at some point, I want you to try to get to the other side where the count is single, single, double pump. Single, single, double pump. Try it. You've got 4 more, double pump. Push. Because you see, there's a footstep that's happening in here that's so hard to get out. How do you do it? Get to the other side and finish. Single, single, double pump. And walk it out. Some of the instruction cannot get out fast enough in order for me to tell you what footstep you should be doing. So that will come in time. Hopefully you feel like your heart rate's up. Grab your ball. We're going to do a little ball bouncing. I mean, seated on the ball bouncing. Oh my goodness. So in Monday's class, I came into the class thinking I was going to tell you a story about a conversation that I had with my sister. But then before I knew it, class was over on Monday and I was like, dang, I'm going to have to wait till Wednesday. And it's all about the differences of what each person finds, where people's interests lie, right? So pause, sit up tall, just run your feet, run, 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 belly to spine. You've got a nice clean S sit without it being exaggerated S. You're just pulling in, shoulders down, breathing, the neck is long, right? Your feet do not have to stay centered. Can you actually do a little bit of movement with the feet, which then might actually take the hips a little bit, like you're doing seated version of, you know, I'm thinking of Hawaiian dance, right? If I only knew the arm version of what the hips and legs are doing, but we are only limited by our own aspect of where we feel like we're in charge and what our control sensation is. And sometimes when we stay so rigid in a movement, right, there's a lot of movement that can happen before you lose your balance. And it's you figuring out where the boundary is for you. Come to center, relax. So I'm having a conversation with my sister on Sunday, and we were just sharing the things that we had gotten into. And she told me a very funny story, which was so typical her. And then I shared with her what I had been doing, because Sunday was the day that Rich left, and he left early in the morning. Pause. Opposite arm is reaching for the leg, but it's not actually going to connect because we don't want to lean forward. I just want the arm on horizontal plane, leg on horizontal plane, and your other arm, pull it up. Switch. Opposite arm reaches for the foot. The other arm goes up. Can you? Switch. Push. So push. You don't even have to bring the arms back down, right? Keep one at all right. Opposite arm reaches for horizontal plane. The other arm reaches up. And at the point where you're transitioning, maybe your ball is going a little bit to the side. But as soon as you command your parts, you can sit up and control it. Bring the high arm down. Switch. Imagine that someone's helping you pull this arm. See how my arm is on a diagonal line? That's to keep my arm from being hooked over my head. We want extension. Switch. 4, 3, 2, relax. Circles for abs. Get as big around as you can. So there were a few projects that I got started in on Sunday based on the fact Rich was gone. And one of them was I'm trying to figure out why some of my plants, me and my plants, right? I'm not certain which of my plants actually can tolerate sun. And so some of my plants don't have the lush green color that I want them to have. So I asked Alexa, reverse circle, what helps with that? To which she said, nitrogen. And I then asked her, what could be used as nitrogen? To which she then said, ground up eggshells. Lo and behold, don't you know that I had eggshells in my freezer? Of course, because I had heard somewhere that I could do something with these. And so I thought, I'm going to do something with those. So I got my eggshells out. I got the cookie sheet out, turned the oven on, sprinkled my eggshells out. They cooked. Relax. I ground them up, which made a huge mess. Here we go. Because I don't have one of those little Cuisinart food processor things. I had to use my Vitamix, and of course, powder was everywhere. Come on down. Because when you don't know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, that whole test thing for me, the test part for me is that the mess will always be so big, and you would think that the mess would then discourage me. Nope. It just makes me take notes and go, okay, next time I need to do it a different way. Nonetheless, I have now my eggshell powder nitrogen, and then walk it back. Walk it back. Try not to let your feet hit the floor. So here's your task for your body. How wide are your legs? Close them in. Get everything squished in nice and tight. Now, pull your feet together, point the toes, squeeze the buns, push the arms into the floor, and last but not least, try to pelvic tilt a little bit. That action of you pelvic tilting should help you go, oh, if I'm not in pelvic tilt, I'm in crimp mode at my lumbar. But as soon as I engage a little bit of that pelvic action, it sets my back into the right spot. So now with all of this new information, start your forward walk. It's probably not the forward walk that will be the super challenge here, but get out, hold yourself where you're going to, re-engage your pelvic tilt, which might make you feel like you're lifting up a little bit at the hips, but I'm okay with that. And then start your walk back. Is it possible for you to take little bitty baby hand walk steps, right? Instead of scooching the hand along the floor, right? Make the baby hand step happen, right? Because you have to start somewhere. The goal would be for you to try to keep your feet together and you're moving forward and back a few little steps, and I'm not oblivious to the sensation that you might be having in your wrists, right? So now just stay put. Stay put in what looks like your push-up position. Look at your hand. Spread the fingers, right? This is an integral part of your positioning. I want you to, with straight arms, fingers spread, I want you to just roll the elbow pits, right? Roll the elbow pits forward, push the arms firmly into the floor, and then without bending the arms, see if you can roll the elbows out. Roll in, roll out. The legs are together, you're in pelvic tilt, you're just holding, your shoulders are out of your ears, and you're just in arm swivels. How much do your arms want to bend? One of them your dominant arm may be really hard to get out of bent position. That's your last one. That's all we can do for our wrists to help improve that joint function. Meanwhile, you were practicing core stabilization, so none of that was wasted time. Come up out of this. All right. Core board, jump rope, hula hoop, marching feet, running up and down your stairs. I don't know which way you're going to take your body for the next little segment of getting your heart rate up, but for me, it's going to be hula hoop. So now I have about a pint of dried eggshell powder. Then I mixed in some water and I watered my plants. So far, no improvement in their color. All right, whatever it is you're doing, I want you to just stay focused and committed. Maybe you have your two little junk rags on the floor and you're just doing your sliding glides from side to side. But if you're in hula, okay, and if you're giving it a try and you're like, hula hoop frustrates me, two things. Maybe your hula hoop is too small. If you have a weighted hula hoop, that would be great because it's phenomenal ab work, right? If you have a very small little hula hoop, you're going to work really hard because a small hula hoop tends to be light. And the lighter the hoop is, the harder it is to get it going around. But I will say this. If hula is not natural movement for you, then you need to bend your legs and your movement needs to feel like it's so exaggerated because you have to get some speed with it because you don't have the technique to keep it going around without it being wonky. So here you go. Pull down, drop your center of gravity, right? And try to feel the body actually coming around in a circle. When you're learning something, you have to be more expressive with it, and it's going to seem crazy. Because once you get it, you will be able to have more control, right? Where your legs don't have to be all spread out. And now, relax. That had to have been at least a minute. Grab your, for me, I'm going to use a 2-pound ankle strap, holding it in my hand. I'm only using one. Palm up. Stepping leg. Palm is staying up. The body gets to turn, right? Palm up. Stepping leg goes with the same side as the moving arm. Track back. Here's an interesting thing. Because of balance and an unsteadiness, some of my clients start moving their arm before their leg actually is in the right spot. And I want you to think about stepping back with the leg. Everything is in sync. The leg and the arm, right? So at the end range of the leg landing on its forward step, it's a timing of it, right? The timing, and that slow timing right through the middle is the most crucial part because this is a static load on the bicep, so the arm has a little softness through the elbow. But not only that, we need to turn the body in order to get the shoulder to receive it, right? So your free hand, maybe your free hand can be a reference to you if your shoulder is flexible enough for you to go, oh, I can touch my shoulder blade. And you want to feel that shoulder blade move, right? You don't feel the shoulder blade in forward lift, but when the arm comes back, you feel the shoulder, that's called your scapula, okay? You feel it. You feel it track back. That's only if your other arm has the mobility for that. Sweep up. See, it just disappears. And then you pull back. And now you're like, oh, that's the job of retraction and depression. 4, squeeze shoulder blades. Maybe your arm is starting to get heavy, and so you're going to set your weight down. 3, we're not even doing the full circle. We're just doing our little half smiley face here, and relax. Whew. That whole arm just got a nice tax to it. If you're now going to the arm that you may have some issues with, don't start with the weight, right? Start with the arm, just the weight of the arm, and go extra slow so that you can test it, right? So even the movement of just letting what would seem like you're just letting gravity take the arm down, that's not exactly what's happening, okay? At the point where the arm starts lowering, the muscle, it's mind to muscle, the scapula starts its track down, right? So this is much more than you just swinging your arm, okay? It doesn't have to be any more than you swinging your arm. But if there's a sensation of stress in the wrong part of your body, then you have to start refining the movement and go, okay, shoulder blade down, track, neck is long, abs are pulled in, right? Sweep. You're like, if you can move your arm without weight and you can still control the shoulder blade and you don't have any pain, then add a couple of pounds or a water bottle or something, and you will find that we don't have to do bicep curls, traditional bicep curls, to work our biceps. This is taxing load. Keep the elbow soft so you're not in hyperextension, straining at the elbow joint. And now we've got about 4 more. You might notice that I'm putting a little pulse on both ends of that. Pulse. And as I pulse, I'm telling myself, shoulder blade down, right? Shoulder blade. And that's it. Relax. Okay. Foam roller in hand. Maybe grab a little drink. In addition to that topic about my eggshells, there was something else that hit my radar that made me really, it stumped me. Because I had never heard it said this way. Has nothing to do with what we're getting ready to do. Okay, it's a whole nother topic. Feet hip width apart. You're going to bend your legs. Let the knees push forward, but that's not where they're going to stay. Spine is long. The foam is connected to the thighs. And now I want you to hip hinge, pull the weight out of the toes into the heels, keeping your spine long. Soften the knees, but don't round your spine. You're in hip hinge. And now the goal is for you to just keep a constant bend in your knee, but don't go deeper and deeper bend, and let the foam or your stick, if you don't have a foam, right? Maybe it's a towel, maybe it's a band. You need something that you can keep taut, right? That's a fixed object. How much of a forward hinge can you get into with your legs bent, heels loaded, spine in long spine, tabletop. And then you're going to rock forward onto your toes a little bit. Oh, feel those hamstrings? Pull back to your heels. Do not segment roll your spine up. Pull up as one unit and squeeze. Bend the legs, press forward with the knees. There's a natural stop point because the ankle and the calf won't let you go any further. At that point, push the hips back. The spine is long. You're sliding that foam down, 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 down until you hit the next stop point. And now rock forward on your toes. Whee! It should make you feel a little unsteady. I'm so far forward on my toes that my heels are no longer touching the floor. And now rock back to the heel. Pull up, squeeze. This does not have to be stiff-legged, but we are going to explore on this next position. Same thing. Bend. You all know this is not how you squat, but this is how we start because it's a great learning aid here. Spine is pulled up in S. The legs are bent. All you have to do is shove the hips back, maintaining your bent leg. This is where the hip hinge comes in, right? There was some, look at the screen. Turn to the side and look at the screen. Don't look at the screen facing forward. I had a client doing something really interesting the other day. She got into really good form like this. And then what happened is she started letting her arms go longer and longer and her spine started rounding. And she was thinking that she was doing it right, but her shoulders were coming down instead of her body coming through, the entire body coming down. And she was able to correct it. But I want you to know you're not letting your arms get longer and longer. There's an integrity to your shoulder retracted position. That's part of your constant. So now that you're in your hinge, what you're going to do is you're going to straighten your legs just enough, right? And you're like, how do I know what just enough is? Just enough is that as you straighten your legs, if you feel your spine shift out of S-curve spine, then you've gone too far. So if your hamstrings are really tight, you won't be able to straighten your legs without your tailbone curling under you. This is where a mirror would come in handy. So get into your position. This is all part of your back strengthening, even though we don't have any weight. It's just technique. Roll forward onto your toes. Try to take your derriere, push it back towards the wall behind you. Your heels may or may not even be touching the floor. And now reload the heels. Pull up. Release and relax. This next movement may not be for everybody. Some version of it will be for you, but we're going to see. So you know we've got this little rocky rock thing that we can do. If you're facing me, swish the foam and mirror me. And now bring the foam down, do your 180-degree rotation. You're like, okay, what's going to happen because you're getting ready to turn away from me. But when you rotate, turn your head and swish the foam the other way. It comes up, turns, swish, swish back, pull it up, redirect the arms, swish the other way. Come up, turn the foam, swish, swish. You're rotating. So if you're here, this is where sometimes the instruction kind of gets lost because there'll be a space up here where you're like, which arm is supposed to bring the foam down? Twist. So I've got my right heel up, which is going to be your mirroring me. So it's your left heel, which is going to mean your left hand draws down, right? Come through the way you just did it. Pull up, pull up, pull up. Turn the foam. Swish back. All right. Are you getting it? Turn, swish. Turn the foam. It's only going to move one direction when you turn it, right? The push, swish. Now, relax. So you can take a breather, or you can try to settle into the next position, which is going to be hanging into your bent leg lunge, right? The foam comes up, twists, the leg stays constant, twist the foam, swish. And if you're not in lunge, then you're just repeating what we just did, right? You're not rotating your legs. You're just twisting the foam on the top. Come up, twist it, down. If you want a little bit more intensity, draw down into a lunge. It's the same arm movement. Pull up and twist, exhale. Inhale up, twist the arms, exhale. Inhale, twist the arms, exhale. One more. Now, if you're facing this direction, come on around, because it makes a difference. Here we go. If you're not in lunge mode, then take both legs, right? Your feet will be about hip width apart, but both feet will be squared up. If you're in lunge, your feet are hip width apart from a distance hip stance, but then you're in a nice separated leg so that you can draw down into your clean lunge. Places, please. Start with your foam on top. Your foam twists and it comes down on either side of you. The foam is up, twist it, and down, up. So now if your body's lunging forward, right? Sometimes you don't even realize that without seeing yourself in a mirror. You want to pull back so the heel of the front foot and the ball of the back foot and the buns are tight. Swish, twist the foam, swish, inhale up, twist the foam, exhale down. Inhale up, squeeze the butt cheek on the back leg. Even if you're standing with two straight legs, squeeze the bun on the trailing leg. You've got 3 more arms. 3, inhale up, exhale, 2, inhale up, exhale, and relax. You're done with your foam. So think about, are you going to repeat your core twisty board, your modified jogging in place? Maybe you're going to go jumping jacks. Maybe you're going to put your hula hoop back into the equation. Maybe you're going to do your slidey feet from side to side. We're going to do another minute. All right. So actually, I just took that the same way. So I'm going to go the other way. The other way is significantly harder for me. Okay. And the thing is when something is hard, we then channel energy up into our shoulders. So try. See how slow it's going? I think the thing about why my shoulders go up in my ears, and I keep telling myself that's not the way they're supposed to be, but it's more like I feel like my hula is going to hit my elbows. So I kind of hold my arms up a little bit. Here we go. All right. Everything is recoverable from, all right. So now the skill that I have when the hula is moving in the other direction is like, I feel like someone else's parts are in control here. And as I try to creep my feet closer together, which is what I can do when the hoop goes the other way, I literally can't control it. So that shows me how dominant I am on the other side. And this feels like that whole statement that I made at the beginning of class, is that the exaggeration, I'm really working, and that hula is so slow. So my body has a built up stiffness going in this way. And it's crazy to me because I feel I'm pretty universally like right and left side and in and out, pretty balanced. But it's something like this that will show me how off point my thought is as my body reveals where the restriction is. So here we go. 5 more. 4, 3. I am really trying to get this thing to have some speed. And cut. Ridiculous. All right. Can we get our ball, big ball, sit on it and go into bridge? It's every time I take a sip of my tincture. In bridge, you might want to put your mat down so you feel like your feet aren't sliding. All right. Maybe I'm the last one to come across this piece of information. I'm like, how could I have never heard this before? Did you know that turmeric is a derivative of the ginger plant? It's not like that comes up in conversation every day, right? I think I've heard Amy say this to me. Certainly other people have, but for some reason it's on my mind that Amy has mentioned this to me. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Is that kind of how that saying goes? So you know how I've got so many things on my radar. So it's like I feel like I'm this person that kind of always has my ear to the ground. And I'm never disappointed. There's always something that is got me going, I need to get that sorted out. All right, so are you with me? Heads comfortably on the ball. Isn't that open to interpretation? Heads comfortably on the ball. You need to have enough support so that you don't feel like your jaw is burrowing down into the chest, right? So if you were too far forward, your body would be like at the wrong angle and your jawline would be tipped. So there's a little bit of a happy medium where your head's not tilted back, nor is it jacked forward. And now, the harder thing to assess here happens to be, are your feet under your knees, right? More often than not, the foot will need to be backed up just a little bit. And when you pull the foot back, don't push your ball back. All right. So all this while, we haven't yet actually really begun the repetition of bridging, but you're activating, right? And so these muscles are hopefully already starting to tell you, oh, I actually am doing something. And if you haven't been in pelvic tilt and actively seeking bridge, then you've been getting a break. What do we do with our hands? Open the arms out. Let them be comfortably away from the body. You're just holding. Now we're going to do 5 repetitions. And before we start the lowering phase, I want you to fine tune your deepest pelvic tilt that you can get into. And as you start lowering the hips, it literally is only going to be a couple of inches down, but don't release the pelvic tilt. And now you're in your down and you're in pelvic tilt. And as you push up, try to deepen the pelvic tilt. The movement is so small, but you will feel the difference in the actual muscle intensity, when you get to the level that the body is supposed to be at, you will feel a firing in a much more intense way than when you're in the down, right? The down is like, sweet relief, pelvic tilt. As you start the pelvic tilt from the lowered phase, don't be surprised if you feel this stretch across your lumbar. All right. Here we go. Down you go. You got two more. Sweet relief. Pelvic tilt. Feel the stretch through the lumbar. Feel the rise of the hips. Feel the activation. Belly to spine. Lower yourself down. This is your last one. Reset pelvic tilt. Pull it up, pull it up, pull it up, pull it up. Now hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Push back. You push back because that allows you to pick up your head, chin to chest. Walk back. But don't walk all the way back. Walk back till you feel like you're at the halfway point. Right? Here you go. You're at the halfway point. Your shoulders, right, are not engaged with the ball. Your heavy head is chin tucked, so you don't actually even have any neck stress. And if you're concerned, put one hand behind your head as a support, but try not to crank into it. And now separate your feet a little bit. Can you rock you side to side? And as you start rocking side to side, I want you to take your torso and twist towards the ball. So the hips and shoulders and the body twists, and I've got my feet nice and wide because I'm using my feet as leverage, right? Push. And I'm chin to chest, and I'm bringing my elbow to the ball. Twist. Get ready. Stop at the center. Walk back. Whew. We've got one more set of whatever you're doing for your cardio. I'm going to bring my little core board out this time. Okay. Twisty, twisty. So sadly, I dropped my board and something has dislodged in there, but it doesn't seem to hinder the swivel. Twist away, twist away, twist. Stiff legs or soft knees, you decide. So here's why I found it as one of these things about the turmeric and the ginger. Why had I never heard before that? here's the thing that makes me wonder, why would we take turmeric? You're like, because it's an anti-inflammatory, Michelle. Well, so is ginger. Why take turmeric and then have to incorporate black pepper in order to get the turmeric to actually do what it's supposed to do in the body if you can just take ginger? I don't know. That's what I'm pondering now, because you all know that I have this tincture, right? So I started adding in the turmeric and the black pepper. And then it was like 2 weeks later that I heard ginger is actually probably the more potent of the two. So you all know me. To cover my bases, what do you think I've added to my tincture? Ginger. Here we go. Whatever you're doing, hunker down a little bit, right? Get into the nitty gritty of it, and we're going to do a count of 20. So even if you're sliding your feet, even if you're doing like a light marching, if you're doing light marching, try to prance for the last 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and cut. I think it's time for triceps. Unfortunately, there's something about me when I can emphasize this is the inner dialogue that I have with myself. How, okay, for you, is it suitable for you to go into overhead press? Because you'll have an immediate, you'll receive it and go, yeah, I can do that. Or you'll say, that's a no-go. So pause. And then the alternative is for you to hunker down. Now you may have to change the weight, get your shoulder blade retracted, and give me tricep kickback. So if the overhead movement leaves you kind of scared or knowing that you're not doing it right, or there's just pain that comes along with it, then opt for this. I'm going to go back to the overhead. Now, there's a reason why the overhead isn't better than the kickback. But like the word try, T-R-I, steps means, is that the tricep has 3 heads to it. Release. If you were all in overheads, hunker down. Let's get about 5 or 6 of the kickbacks. So the overhead extension works a different head, a different part of the muscle than this. And now, switch arms. So being able to do some of each, right? Typically, when we go to the floor, we'll lay down and we do overheads. So for someone who can't do this overhead, right? We could do it on the floor, which we're gonna. So if you're here and you need assist, put your hand at the wrist, right? If you feel like it's your assist is because your elbow is pressing way away, then put your hand at your elbow to draw the arm in. Give me 2 or 3 more overhead, and then we're going to go into the kickback. The kickback, the intricacies of the kickback should have you starting with your shoulders depressed and retracted and your spine in S, right? I could lay myself out and put my body in horizontal plane, but I can also keep myself diagonal up and my arm movement is still dialed in. Shoulder blades rolled back, sliding down, pushing back, because we're not trying to swing the arm up off the body line. Your hip line is, so regardless of where your torso is, right? Your hip line is the end range for your extension. 5 more. 5, 4. Oh man, that gets hard. 3. Shoulders pulling away from the ear. 2. Immediately go to the floor. Keep your weight. Both hands holding the weight. Legs off the floor. Feet up. Dancer legs. Heels together. Toes flared. Arms reaching up. Aim for the top of the head. There's a reason why I don't want you to aim for your forehead, because often that translates to the bridge of the nose, which puts the elbows forward of the shoulders. So you want to try to keep your elbow and shoulder aligned. And more importantly, if I was standing next to you and I had one of these small little inflatable balls, like a slightly smaller than a beach ball, but bigger, right, than a we'll say bigger than a softball. Look at your elbow spacing. As your arms bend, I want you to imagine that you're squeezing a ball between your elbows. Here we go. Belly to spine, legs straight. Push it out for 10 more. 1. Exhale up. 2. Worst case scenario, put 1 foot down if you need to relieve the extra muscle work. You've got 5. 4, your neck is flat. You're looking at your legs. 3, you're pulling your belly in nice and tight. 2, you're squeezing your buns if you can. And release, relax. Can you roll like a ball? Rolling like a ball requires your spine, right, to be flexible. And now, maybe you're like, I can get down, but I sure can't get up. If you can't get up, do you know what to do? Do you know just to roll yourself to the side, sit up, and then the next time you go to get up, roll yourself to the other side and get up? But if you're with me, we're going to knock it out right here. Hands behind the knees. When you roll back, you're trying not to let your head smack the floor. When you roll back, you're trying to go into your really, really tight C-curve spine, chin to chest. Your shoulder blades don't even hit the floor. Pull up. And in Pilates, the breath cycle is different. In Pilates, the exhale is in the down and the inhale is in the up. C-curve spine, chin to chest. Inhale up. C-curve spine, chin to chest. Inhale up. Whatever version you're doing, we've got 3 more. So often we forget how to move our parts, right? How to transition and make these little micro adjustments, especially right here, right? As soon as you go back, you have to feel the lower back area roll. The practice would be, do this last one. The practice would be, go to C-curve and start feeling yourself in really, really small positioning, start rolling back. And the goal is to try to, we're slowing our roll down, because it takes a lot of control to actually have stop points built in. And the control is what your phenomenal abdominals are doing. And then there's a point where gravity wins. Cobra. All right, here's where we finish. And though I said Cobra, you're only going to be here for a moment. We have one last move. Cobra is not the last move. Cobra is just the transition out of your rolling like a ball to stretch your body the other way. Our last move is going to be our little flutter kicks or swimmer heel clicks. And we're only going to do 20 of them, and then we're done. So as you lower yourself down, you're going to overlap your hands, forehead on your hands. Here's where I want you to rock the hips a little bit so we can get settled to the floor. And then I want you to extend the legs where you feel the knees lift from the floor, but let the legs are straight. And now take your heels, not your toes, your heels, because that means your toes are going to be slightly turned out. And you're just clicking the legs together. So it's not even the entire thigh lifted. You just don't want to feel your knees on the floor. And that means you have to straighten your legs and squeeze your buns. And in order to get the legs straight, the quads are fired up and the buns are fired up. And we're clicking the heels for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and cut. Help yourself up. As you start coming up, you will have less stress. The closer you get your elbows to your torso, right? See how tucked? If you push into the elbows, that allows you to get your hips initiating their lift, right? And then it makes it easier because your elbows come back with you, and then you're only on your knees for a nanosecond, heels to the floor in your downward dog. Wow. So this little ledge that I have from the carpet to the floor is enough of a ledge for me to get extra calf stretch. Easy does it on the roll up. Don't rush that part of it. Whew. All right. You're free to roam. Thanks, you guys. I hope you have a